Hey guys, Pro1701 here, and today my question to you is, what is your favorite animated Batman movie? Whether it's just Batman, or if it's, say, one with the Justice League that Batman just plays heavily in, so if it's one of the many Justice League movies where he plays an important part. What is your favorite Batman movie, and why? There are several I like. Under the Red Hood is really good. Mask of the Phantasm is really good. I enjoyed that one a lot. And there was another one I had on the tip of my tongue that I have forgotten about right off the top of my head that I liked. Gotham by Gaslight was fun too. It was a nice little spin on it that I really enjoyed. But my personal favorite, by a considerable margin, is The Dark Knight Returns. I absolutely love Part 1 and Part 2 of The Dark Knight Returns. That is just such a well-made animated movie, or movies. I really count them as one movie, even though there's a Part 1 and a Part 2. First off, the animation they use is phenomenal. I love the art style and the direction and the camera angles. I love the way the animation looks. Superman's face looks a little dumpy. It looks a little weird. But other than that, I think the animation's phenomenal. I think they are trying to make it look as much like Miller's work as they can, as much like, or whoever actually drew the original comic. I don't know. I've never actually read the original comic. The first time I experienced the story was the animation, but it seems to me they're going to make it look kind of like the original comic. Secondly, you have Peter Weller voicing Batman. You have RoboCop voicing Batman, and that is awesome. And Peter Weller kills it in this role. I mean, he's not Kevin, but nobody's Kevin. But Peter Weller plays this older, mid-50s Batman perfectly. My hat's off to him. The fact that my favorite animated Batman movie is not a Kevin Conroy Batman movie is staggering to me. But Peter Weller does such a good job in the role. Now, I don't really care for the guy voicing Joker. He grows on me. Even though he doesn't really show up, I think, until like the beginning of Part 2, the end of Part 1. I would have preferred Mark or Troy. I think those are just the Joker voices in my head that I hear. So I didn't really like him. I'm always disappointed when he's talking. But over the course of the story, by the time he dies, spoiler alert, I guess, I've adjusted to it and it's not bothering me as much. But there's so much going on in this story. Bruce seeing the city turning into decay, knowing Commissioner Gordon's about to retire and there aren't many good cops left. Being frustrated that he can't step back in and do something because all of the heroes have agreed to retire by then. And seeing his frustration with that and how it finally gets the better of him and he gets back in the suit and starts taking out crime again. The scene when his first night back out is phenomenal. I love that first night back out scene. Like when he just busts through and grabs the guy through the window. All those scenes when he's taking people down by the shadows. And then when one cop sees him in the flash of lightning, he's like, you're in for a showdown. I love all of that. It's just phenomenal. And then, of course, the showdown stuff with the mutants is good. Batman having to improvise and put his detective skills and his thinking skills to use when he realizes, he's not in his 20s, 30s, or 40s anymore. He's in his 50s. He's slower. He's got to compensate for that. That's a heck of a Batmobile he drives. That is definitely... Even I think when this Batman was younger, I don't think he was kind of the average Batman. When you look at his Batmobile, that is a beast. That is a machine. That is a tank. I think this Batmobile was definitely dialed up to 11 even before he got old, honestly. So seeing everything play out with the mutants or whatever they're called, seeing that play out with them. I like Robin in this. Carrie, is that her name? I forget. I really like her a lot. I like how Batman's really strict with her, but when she innovates, and she innovates in a good way, he rewards that, like how he doesn't fire her for taking control of the jet. Seeing the Joker come back, his plan, how he kills the whole audience. I like the fact that the Joker in this is still a criminal genius. The Joker's intelligent. You have to remember that. He's a very, very shrewd and intelligent person, and how he manages to kill that whole audience. It's just clever. And then seeing him and Batman in their kind of final battle and how that leads into the events playing out with Superman. It's nice how one beat of the story leads into the next beat of the story, because it's almost like 3 different stories happening, just kind of one right after the other. It's really impressive how much they managed to get in there. There's a couple things I don't like. Again, the way Superman's drawn is a little irksome. I don't like the fact they use Reagan to represent the president, although that is staying true to the actual novelization. But the way they characterize Reagan is really, really terrible, actually, and offensive, actually, as Reagan was actually considered a pretty good president by a lot of people. He won the 1984 election with literally 49 states. Out of 50 states and the District of Columbia, he won 49 states. The only states he lost were, I believe, Montana, and he also lost the District of Columbia, because that's its own voting entity. So yeah, a lot of people liked Reagan back in the 80s. So I don't really like its portrayal of him there. But again, it's staying true to the original mini comic, and even in Hollywood in the 80s, some people had issues with him. I mean, watch the Land of Confusion video. I enjoy a lot of that. The music is really good. I really enjoy the soundtrack to this. It has this one theme, especially, that plays a lot during action sequences. It's really, really good. It's just a perfect storm of everything coming together. The actors putting in good performances, even though the guy who plays Gordon sounds a little weird to me, but for the most part, the actors putting in good performances. The animation being phenomenal. The camera shots looking so good. The music being so good, and it just being such a good story. It translates really well, I think, to animation. This is the one I probably go back and watch the most, more than Under the Red Hood, more than Mask of the Phantasm. I love watching The Dark Knight Returns. I'll watch usually part 1, take a break, go back, watch part 2. I've seen it probably 4 or 5 times now. I absolutely love it. And I enjoy other stuff. I do like Killing Joke a lot. I actually don't mind the added on part to Killing Joke. I think it's an underrated animation. And it's good to have Kevin and Mark back. But yeah, Dark Knight Returns, easily my favorite Batman animated movie. So I want to know what you think of The Dark Knight Returns, and what you think of the various Batman animated movies, and which one your favorite is. So comment down below and let me know. Other things to do, don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button. That helps me out, and I certainly appreciate it. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There is a link to that down in the description below. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you would like to send me to look at and review, and a link to my Amazon wish list is down there as well. I also have another channel called Another Sci-Fi Guy, where I talk about all things Doctor Who, and another channel called Prowl 1701, where I talk about Star Wars stuff and review lightsaber replicas. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.